Hello and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing Diablo 4 and we're going to be going over the 5 best outfits for the Rogue in Diablo 4. Now the Rogue is probably my second favorite class to play as. It's hard for me to say for sure. I'm pretty sure the Barbarian's my favorite. It's possible that that's just because I've spent more time playing with the Barbarian than any other one, but I do genuinely enjoy it. The next two up for contention are the Sorcerer and the Rogue. Both of them are a lot of fun to play as. I really think the Rogue is number 2. But with all that being said, we're going to be going over the top 5 suits of armor that I think look the best for this one. And so I will be keeping them the same. So if, for example, it's the Adventurer's set, all the pieces are going to be the Adventurer's set. That doesn't mean you can't swap anything out. Of course you can. It's entirely up to you. Maybe you'll find one that looks way better, or you'll address any of the criticisms I have for each suit. With all that being said, this is going to be mostly subjective stuff. Obviously, if I bring up any points about historical accuracy or weaknesses in the armor, I am fully aware that these are just cosmetic suits of armor and they don't actually have these weaknesses. That being said, I like to talk about armor and weapon design, and a lot of the people that watch my channel enjoy to hear that. So if it bothers you that I'm talking about realism in a fantasy game, maybe you're the one with a problem. But with all that being said, if you disagree with anything I say, let me know down in the comment section below. If you have the balls, that is. So let's just dive on in and start off with number 5 for the Rogue. So starting us off at number 5, we have the Sovereign Armor, and this is one that I didn't find until rather late in the game. I don't know if that's normal or if it's totally random, but for some reason when I'm going through and exploring and finding unique things to unlock the transmogs, I usually find them by the set, so part of me thinks that it's set that you maybe don't unlock them until later in the game. Whatever the case may be, that was my experience. And so I genuinely like this one. I think it's a little bit more understated than some of the other ones that I genuinely enjoy for the Rogue. It obviously has a lot more design elements to it than some of the most simplistic ones, and some heavier armor, which might not be what everybody's looking for with a Rogue, but I genuinely like this one. So for one thing, our mask appears to be a snake. It's hard for me to tell if it's just supposed to be snake-like or it is a snake, but you can see the part where our mouth would be is covered up by an armored section of mouth that looks like a viper's jaw opening up. You can see we got fangs and a forked tongue. I just think it looks cool. Obviously, it's a little cringe and edgelordy from a realism point of view, but it definitely looks cool for the type of character we're playing as, because the rogues are sort of dicks. They're basically assassins, trappers, backstabbers. It's kind of what you are in this role. So I like it. I think it looks cool. It obviously doesn't offer any protection to the top of the head or the back of the head, but it offers a lot to the face. So I genuinely enjoy the helmet there. I like that we've got what appears to be like a panther's head or something like that on the shoulder on the side. I think that looks really cool. It's a cool design element. And you can see we've got another snake wrapping around the bottom. Maybe that shoulder's supposed to be a snake and I'm just an idiot, but I think it looks more like a cat than a snake. But I think the suit of armor's cool. It's like hard leather or maybe lacquered material of some sort, wood, steel, something like that. Both of them exist in history. But we also have steel elements here and there that I think look rather cool. And I like it in red because the red undertones just kind of fit with it for me. I think it looks the best that way. So that is the one that I put at number 5. It's very, very cool. But we're moving on to number 4. So at number 4, we've got one that I actually unlocked super early in the game and used for quite some time, and it's the Adventurer's Armor. And now, I think the Adventurer's Armor is one of the better looking suits of armor overall in the game, and it looks okay on pretty much all the classes, but I think the Rogue got the best deal for it. So, design-wise, it reminds me of, like, Roman armor a lot. Now, obviously not exactly. It's got some Persian elements to it, and also just a bunch of fantasy garbage going on. But I like the overlapping mail. It reminds me of the Lorica Hamata, I believe, was the Roman armor. It's entirely possible that I'm confusing it with the Squamata or something else. But I think it looks very, very cool. I love that. It would obviously be very, very heavy, but would offer pretty good mobility as far as flexibility is concerned, and substantial protection, because, you know, that would be pretty shock absorbing given the design of it, and obviously would be puncture resistant and slash resistant. So I like that a lot. We appear to be armored all the way around. Both of our shoulders are armored, one significantly more than the other, but both of them have armor. Nothing at the elbows on either side, but that's pretty normal for this game. We do have gauntlets and wrist guards, both of which are somewhat protective. Our whole torso appears to have mail covering it, as does our hip/groin region, even though it's not very uniform. I actually really like the asymmetrical look, though, so I'm not going to complain about how the fact that it doesn't offer equal protection on either side, just because I think it looks very cool. Our legs are just pants, but we have some steel plate around the knees, which is useful. You know, obviously obviously wouldn't offer. If I was going to have armor on the legs, I'd focus on, obviously the feet are very important, but also the thighs are extremely important because they're large targets that are oftentimes well within stabbing reach and have some serious blood vessels in them that you don't want to get nicked. Other than that, we have a pretty cool looking headgear for this one. It's mostly just a hood. We do have some armor on it. It's like an upside down nasal helm, which I find very interesting. It guards the chin very well. And then we have one piece going up in between the eyes instead of a nasal helm where it would be on top and going down, which is obviously a much better design. But this one looks very fantasy and very cool for a rogue. So yeah, all of that put together is why I have the Adventurer's Armor at number 2. That is the green variant of it. And or I should say not number 2, number 4. And now let's move on to number 3. At number 3, we have the Doom Armor, which actually is pretty badass. Now again, it's a little bit cringe and edgelordy, but you know, it's a rogue in a fantasy game, so that's to be expected. Here we have a mostly light armor, so you can see we don't have a lot of mail or anything thick or heavy looking on here. We have some steel plate elements for some armor, our left shoulder, our right wrist, our right elbow, our left wrist. We have a belt buckle, is what I'm going to call that, because it doesn't go low enough to be a codpiece. Then we do have shin guards and at least half sabatons, if not full sabatons, on the feet, giving us protection. And then what appears to be a leather mask with a hood. So overall, again, not a lot of armor value, but given the fact that it's a rogue, I can allow that. I don't mind that at all, because we're not going for heavy armor. You're going for speed, agility, and stealth, I would assume. But this one's pretty cool. I like that the mask kind of reminds me of Hannibal Lecter's mask from Silence of the Lambs. I'm a big fan of that. Kind of makes it look extra creepy, especially in brown like we have it here. And we have what I have to assume are throwing knives sticking out of the right side of our torso covering there. At first I thought they were like rib bones or something, but then I looked closer at them and I was like, oh no, that's just a bunch of throwing knives. And I think it looks pretty cool. I like this one. It's got kind of like a little half cape on the back. It's very fantasy, very, very, I don't want to say inaccurate because it's not like there was rogue armor in the medieval period, but you know, not what I would choose if I was armoring up a knight, but if I was going for a rogue or an assassin or a thief or something like that, I think this would fit very well for any of those roles. I guess in a D&D game or something. But yeah, that is the Doom Armor, which takes the number 3 spot. Let's move on to number 2. At number 2, we have one that I got early and was an instant classic that I used for a very long time as my rogue, and it's the Fur-Lined Armor, and we're using the gray variant. This one is very stereotypical rogue. You can see we have pretty much no heavy armor elements on here, so you would not want to be tanking any hits with this one. It's dark. I mean, that's mostly because of the gray variant, because obviously you could make it whatever color you want, or at least you could use any of these set pigments that we have. I like the gray one though, because it gives it all gray and black and makes it look very assassin-y. We have the stereotypical hood with the lower face covering, but we can still see the eyes, of course, so you can see how haunted they are after they slit your loved one's throat, or whatever the case may be. We have a small cape thingy on the back, not nearly as cloaky as I would like it to be for this outfit, but I still think it looks alright. Then just a bunch of cloth and leather. So again, very fantasy, not very realistic, at least not as far as anything I've ever seen a historical reference for, but very, very cool if you're trying to build yourself a stealth assassin. I genuinely like the tassels on the left side of the body. I like how we have like a normal, what looks like a very long tunic hanging down on the right side, but then on the other side we've got leather tassels with steel fringe on the bottom. It's just one of those design elements that, yeah, it looks cool. I'm not arguing that, but it doesn't make any sense. Why on earth would you have that? It's not like it would offer you any better protection. It would just make more noise, catch more light, you know, to make you less stealthy. Whatever the case is, like I said, I agree. It looks cool, but it doesn't serve any logical purpose. That all being said, I do like this outfit. I think it looks pretty badass, and that's why it takes the number 2 spot on the list. Finally, at number 1, we have probably the heaviest armored variant of the rogue armor, and it's the Archon Armor. And now this one is similar to the Sovereign Armor in several ways. It's just kind of beefier than it. So you can see we have both arms are protected by these large oversized gauntlets. The one on the left side actually has a built-in knife, which, you know, would be impractical for a lot of situations because it would just grab on stuff all the time and you'd be likely to injure yourself constantly having a curved knife strapped to your wrist, you know, that you might forget about. But that being said, obviously, if you didn't forget about it and you were using it intentionally in combat, it could be very useful. Maybe not as useful as a regular knife in your hand, which you could manipulate manipulate better and use in a lot more situations, but hey, what do I know? You can see that our mask is once again got the snake elements to it. This time we also have a hood, which I think, well, I mean, we had a hood last time, but it was folded down. But I think it looks better with the hood up because it definitely feeds more into the rogue aesthetic, but I still like the snake mask elements. I think they look very cool. We once again have what I go back and forth because on this one it kind of looks more like a snake than a cat. But whatever the case is, both of our pauldrons are animal head themed. I mean, you can let me know down in the comment section below which one you think. Does it look more like a panther or a viper? I know viper makes more sense because all of the other elements on this armor are, but I don't know. If you look straight at it, it definitely looks more like a snake than from the side. From the side, it looks more like a cat. Anyway, the rest of our chest armor is pretty heavily armored. You can see that we have both of the pectoral muscles covered with solid steel and all the way down the abs. The sides are made out of what appears to be woven cloth of some sort, so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that it's padded gamson, so that would offer decent protection. We have what appears to be scaled steel going down on both of the hips, actually going low enough to provide a decent amount of protection for, you know, the area that you want to protect the most on your legs. The rest of the legs are pretty lightly armored. We have some shin guards that have some throwing knives on them, which is just overall a pretty weird place to put your throwing knives. You'd have to, you know, reach down real low to get them, and I feel like, especially if you're riding a horse or something like that, having your knives there sticking out like that would just cause a lot more problems than it would solve. I think they were thinking boot knives, which go inside your boot, and, you know, ended up with this instead. We also have some more throwing knives up on the torso, so clearly this guy throws a lot of knives. All that being said, I think this one looks pretty cool. It's very, very fantasy, very edgelord, very mall ninja, but it does look quite good for a rogue in a fantasy setting. So that is all 5 of the suits of armor that I've picked out for the rogue. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have anything that you disagree with me, whether it's you think that there's an outfit that looks better than these ones, or if you disagree with any of the design elements that I've pointed out here, let me know down in the comment section below. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.